Hello, happy rainy, gloomy Tuesday. And thanks for taking some time to settle and breathe and move and take care of yourself. So just kind of look around your space and make sure that you have a safe space, that there's no cords or pets. I've been teaching online since March, and I've had a few people trip over cords, and even a couple people trip over their cats. So just kind of check and make sure that, there's no books, papers, you have lots of space as I move things out of my way. So then we're just gonna start by finding either a really comfortable seated shape. So you can start seated here, or if you prefer, you can lie back. So if you're gonna lie back, right, you just wanna come onto your back. I would suggest you keep your knees bent. That's gonna take a little pressure off of your back. And just let your arms come down by your side, all right? So we'll take a few moments just to find a physical shape that's supportive for you. And then as you find a comfortable, supportive shape, just allowing your body to pause for a moment and just giving yourself some time to arrive and transition into practice. And just gentle reminder that our practices work on a continuum. And so we might feel really grounded for a few breaths. We might feel a little anxious for a few breaths. We might feel happy for a few breaths. Right? We might question things, feel uncomfortable for a few breaths. Our practices, each one of us has our own unique connection to practice. We take time at the beginning of each practice to connect, to explore finding support, and connect to however you might define and feel more grounded. So we'll take the next few breaths, transitioning inward and downward. And sometimes the imagery of an old growth tree is helpful. Deep, strong, wide roots, creating an anchor of support. Using your body. Use our bodies as anchors, feeling the ground beneath you. With each breath, releasing into the ground. Allowing the ground to help hold and support you. As you find more grounding and support, through the physical body, drawing your attention to your breath. Breathing in, noticing your in-breath. Breathing out, noticing and feeling your out breath. Your mind seems busy, noting this is very, very natural. Our minds wander away over and over. Practice is noticing when the mind runs away. Over and over again, bringing the mind back to the body through your breathing. So you might use your body, you might use your breath, blending body and breath as an anchor to feel the rise and fall, to feel the natural, authentic sensations that come as our bodies breathe for us. As we all take the next few moments together breathing, gentle reminder coming back to your stability, to your support. Maybe the imagery of that old growth tree. Deep, strong, wide roots. And for some people, it's really helpful to pick one or two places that you feel the breath in your body. And just bringing some attention to those one or two places. Maybe you feel the breath in your belly. Maybe you feel the breath in your chest or right at the base of your nostrils. Letting your practice be yours. So noticing where you feel the breath, and if you feel it would be helpful, just paying attention to that place for a few breaths. Practicing the full commitment exhale, just letting your full exhale release and let go. And as we continue a few more breaths here, whole body breathing. Moment to moment breath experience. We just sit or be still with 5 more breaths. When you feel it's been about 5 breaths, taking that full exhale, reconnecting to stability, to grounding. And then we'll all take a few moments just to transition onto your back. So if you're in a place right where you were seated, you can just come onto your back. And Make sure, right, that your knees are bent, your arms can be down by your side. And we're just gonna start right here just for a couple moments, kind of just shaking things out a little bit, right? So you can let go and reset your body more from a place of neutral and release and less from a place of tightness and tension, right? So if you've been at work, right, kind of sitting at a desk, you might feel tight across the chest, you might feel tight in your hips. This is a really beautiful week. Maybe you spent a lot of time raking the leaves or taking long walks, and so your legs might feel tight, right? We've all been under a tremendous amount of stress, so maybe you're feeling this all the way up in your head, in your brain. So each one of us, right, is really unique, and we carry stress in different places. So here's your opportunity to just explore that. And then let your body settle into the ground and take a few long breaths. And as you take a few long breaths, you can always ride the feeling wave of your breathing. You're breathing, right, like a wave in the ocean. If you're feeling a little tenser or tighter than normal, feel free. Exhale through your mouth. And let's take about 3 more breaths here on your back. And then with the next couple exhales, let's bring some awareness down into your pelvis. So you can take the top of your hands and bring them to the top of your hip bones. And so just defining your pelvic bowl here. So you have your right hip and your left hip, and they come together and create your pelvic bowl, right? Which is different than your spine. So we want to have that understanding. And then we can feel the back of your pelvis nice and heavy on the floor. So with that awareness, we're going to bring your right knee up over your right hip, and then your left knee up over your left hip. Okay, and it's a little challenging here because you probably don't get to see your thigh bones, but we want to try to feel these thigh bones, right, more straight up and down. Okay, so if we bring the knees really far in, we're going to roll into our lower back, and that's going to change the shape of your pelvis. So, right, with the knees straight over the hips, we have to use your abdominals a little more. If you take your knees too far out in front of you, you're probably going to feel some tightness and tension in your low back. So it's a nice lesson in feeling your body in space here. So take a couple of moments, thigh bones more or less straight up and down. And then you can point your toes and then lift your shins up towards the ceiling. Push out through your heels and draw your heels down. And we'll do a couple of those. So point and lift. Push your heel away and bend. Moving here from your breathing. So blending that awareness, right? You can feel your breath and then move. Let's try 2 more. So breath first and then movement. Next time your heels come down, right leg comes down, left leg comes down. Let everything relax again. Take a couple of breaths. And then when you feel your second exhale, we'll bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Right, I'm gonna bend at your elbows. So a lot like the legs, can these upper arm bones, right, be more straight, right over the shoulders, like less towards your chest, less towards your ears, right? More straight up and down, right? And more like railroad tracks, being mindful that we're not winging way, way out, okay? So if we have really tight shoulders, ooh, railroad tracks might be a little strenuous, so we might have a little wing, right? These are all awarenesses that we can feel and notice and honor in our bodies. So much like the legs, we'll exhale, lift the fingertips up, inhale, come down. And let's do 5 of these, moving from your breath. Practice feeling the breath and then moving your body. Next time your arms are straight up towards your ceiling, we're gonna pause. Right? Check in with your body again. Notice the back of your head, check in with your spine, the back of your pelvis, and then let your knees come back up over your hips. Bend your elbows. So if you all remember Dead Bug, right? If you're at Monona Terrace, right? We usually always opened with Dead Bug. If it's brand new to you, follow along. We inhale, take all the limbs up. Exhale, bend. So we're putting the legs and the arms together. We'll do a few symmetrical just to get the rhythm and the movement. This is a really nice way to start to wake up your abdominals to support your movements. Then if you want more challenge, you can go opposites, right? Left arm, right leg. Opposite arm, opposite leg. And there you go, following your breath. You don't follow me as much as you follow your breathing. Inhale, extend up. Exhale, bend. We'll do a few more side to side. Hopefully, right, there's not a whole lot of wobble side to side. If you get tired, take a break. One more on each side. And then when you finish, you feel even, right? You're gonna bring all the limbs back down. Reset, feel the ground beneath you. Maybe you come all the way back to that imagery of an old growth tree. Even in this shape, you can explore having deep, wide, strong roots. Using your body as an anchor. Let's practice feeling 5 full rounds of breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And then when you feel it's been about 5 breaths, or maybe you're counting your breath, we're gonna roll over and come and find tabletop. Okay, so I'm gonna roll on over. So a couple options here, right? If you have sticky, cranky wrists that don't like tabletop, you can come onto your fists, okay? That'll take the flexion piece out of the wrist. You can also come all the way down onto your forearms, okay? And so if you do lots of tabletops, you practice yoga a lot, right? Or other mindful movement exercises, and you're in straight arms a lot, I would encourage you to sometimes come down onto your elbows, just so you work a different group of muscles in a different way, okay? So you can be here for this next exercise, or you can be with straight arms or with fists. So again, right, feeling our bodies in space is a practice, and sometimes it's quite challenging, okay? So we're going to take a little bit of time just to feel your body in space, right? It's probably pretty easy to feel your hands because you can look down and say, whoa, there's my hands and there's my arms, right? And you can look back and see your knees and you can see your toes, right? But we don't get to see our backs. So sometimes for some of us, myself included, feeling your back might be a little more challenging. So let's start at the back of your skull, right? And in your own way, just defining the back of your skull, right? And so back of the skull, nice and wide. You can go down through the skull into the back of your neck, right? Can the ears, right, be about as high as your shoulders? And then as you go down through your neck, down your spine, all the way out your tail, right? And so sometimes I use the imagery, right, of people coming over to your house eating dinner and you've run out of table space and we have to eat on your back, right? So if we kind of cave and collapse like this, we can't really eat on your back, right? That's not so much a table, okay? We want to honor our neutral spines, right? We want to keep those S-curves, but we also want to have strength and stability. So ears and shoulders, right? And then we're just going to add some movement. So we're going to take your right foot and push it straight back. Keep your toes on the floor and see what changed. What do you feel changed in your body? And then you can bring your right knee back and take your left foot back. What changed in your body? And then we're just going to go side to side a few times. And as many of you have probably practiced this, right? We don't want a lot of wobbling side to side, right? So if you take your right leg back, right, and you kind of tip, right? We're gonna work a little more on staying connected through that low right side. So one more to each side. And then when you finish, right, you can sit back, shake out your wrists. Wow, I'm over on the far west side and it is pouring rain. Wowzers. All right, and then bringing both hands back, re-find your table. It might be a little easier now because it's in your muscle memory. And we're gonna add the arms, okay? So even if you're down here on your forearms, right, you can take your right leg back and you can slide your left arm forward, okay? Hold, noticing your midline. So midline is that middle line right down the center of your body. And then bring things back. Left leg, right arm out. Hold for a couple of breaths. Then bring everything back. And then just sit back, right? You can take a child's pose. If child's pose is uncomfortable, you could roll on your back. We're just gonna take 5 breaths here, just kind of stretching things out, releasing, coming back to feel our bodies breathe. Good. One more full breath here. Good. And then we're just going to come on up to sitting for a second. And then as we're sitting, we're just gonna explore, right, midline, the idea of midline stability, okay? So midline in our bodies can be looked at a couple different ways. The first way we're gonna look at it today, it is from your nose to your chin, to your sternum, to your belly button, to your pubic bone, okay? So what this looks like when we're in our table, right, is my nose is in line with my chin, in line with my sternum. So we're just gonna work with that piece. If your head, right, drops down, your nose is not in line with your sternum, right? It's lower. So let's all take a moment to deepen our understanding. Nose, chin, chin up in line, right? Lifted as high as your sternum, right? If your sternum drops, your low belly might drop, right? And then your belly button is not in line with your nose. So sternum, belly button, pubic bone, all about as high as your nose, right? And that might give you a feeling of more length and strength in your back, right? So then we're gonna take and do that last exercise. Can you take your right leg back? Can you take your left arm forward and keep your nose, your chin, your sternum, and your pubic bone in a line? If you want more challenge, maybe you lift your back leg and your front arm, right? And explore, right? Are you dropping your nose? Are you tipping right side, left side? And then bringing all the limbs down, resetting, and going to the other side. Left foot can go back. Arm can reach forward. Concentrating, mindfulness, being embodied in your body, lifting the limbs maybe. If you lifted the limbs, right, and you felt really wobbly, that's a really good indication to just come back to the floor. Good. And then we're going to just spend a little bit of time on our own, going side to side, moving with awareness, concentration, slow and controlled. Maybe you keep the limbs on the floor. There's no need, right, to lift. So if lifting is a little too much for you, it doesn't mean you're bad at the exercise. It just means it's a little too much. Meet yourself where you are. So let's do one or two more so we feel balanced, side to side. And then when you finish with one or two more, right, you can either sit back in your child's pose, or you could come back up to sitting. And we're just gonna hang out, check back in with ourselves, and take 5 breaths. Just try and reconnect to your body, grounding. Blending your breath through those sensations. And then with your next exhale, if your eyes are closed, slowly letting your eyes open. And then we'll figure out how to come on up to standing. So when you come up to standing, we're going to take your feet out wide. Okay, so feet are going to come out wide. I'm going to adjust this just a hair so you can see me. All right, so feet come out wide, heels in and toes out, and hands can come on your hips. So a little bit like how we were on our backs, right? Here's your pelvis. You can feel your pelvis, okay? Forehead, nose, chin, sternum. So if we start just with those points, right? Side view, can the nose be back in line with your sternum, right? So if your head goes out, your nose goes out, Try and let your head come back. Okay? Trying to keep your head back. We're going to go up and down in your sumo squat. Okay? So chest can stay lifted, head can stay back. Great. You can incrementally go a little deeper each time. If you want a little more challenge, follow your breathing. Inhale, come up. Exhale, go down. Great. Last one. When you come up, pause. Just that awareness again. Nose back in line with chin. Chin back, more in line with your sternum, right? So nice and lined up. Good, left leg rolls in a little bit, right leg rolls out. Okay, so as we exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. 2 more, moving from your breathing. Good, both feet face forward. Right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. Exhale. Inhale, follow your breath. 2 more. Good, then both feet face straight ahead. We'll pause, reconnect to your breathing. Nose in line with chin, in line with sternum. Okay, try not to get your head pitched forward. Heels come in, toes go out. We're going to add arms. Exhale. Inhale. Right, if you're watching, try and follow your own breath. If you want a little more challenge, your heels can lift up just a little piece of paper. Let's do 3 more. Good, breath and then movement. Good, hands come onto your hips, onto your pelvis. Left leg rolls in a little bit, right leg rolls out. Arms are gonna hang. Exhale. Inhale. 2 more. Exhale. Inhale. This time we're gonna keep your arms up. Exhale. And just pause. See if you can come back. Feel your grounding. Feel your support. And then notice if your head pitched forward. Can your nose come in line with your chin? Your chin a little more in line with your sternum. And then we're going to tip over and put your right hand on your right knee or your elbow on your leg and take 2 breaths. Good, ground down, feel your exhale, pull you up. Good, right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. And when you're ready, right? Exhale. Inhale. 2 more. That 3rd one, the arms come up. Check, feel your grounding, feel your roots, blend that grounding with your breath. Tip over either your hand or your elbow, right? Sometimes the head goes forward. Noticing your head in space, 2 breaths. And grounding down, coming all the way up. Great, heels come in, exhale. Inhale, adding your arms for 3 more. Exhale. Inhale, follow your breath. Nice. And then as you come up, we'll step your feet together and just take standing mountain. So using standing mountain here as a short meditation to come back inward to your body. Noticing and feeling your breath. Maybe now it's more of a practice of trying to stay grounded with a little quicker, faster heartbeat and breath. Right? As the breath gets quicker, sometimes it's a little more challenging to feel grounded. Nice. Take a full exhale. And then with your next inhale, we'll reach the arms out to come up. And just come up here, reach the arms, and just bring them a little bit out in front of you. Round through your heels. If it's tight in your low back, bend your knees a little bit and just see if you can feel a little more through your low back, mid back, upper back. You might soften through your shoulders. Right? You might let the tops of your shoulders relax down a little bit, your head come back. You're going to bring your hands down into the front of your pelvis. You're going to fold forward. Okay, then we're going to take a fork in the road. Some of us might want downward facing dog. So you might come into dog. You might come down to tabletop. You might come all the way back to child's pose. You might even roll onto your back and rest on your back. We're going to take 5 grounded, reflective breaths. Listening, feeling, noticing your body breathing for you. And as you follow your next couple of breaths all the way through the exhale, we're going to lower back down and come to tabletop again. So if you're on your back, you can roll back over to table. Find your strong table. You can do this one all the way down on your forearms. Okay, so nice and slow, right? So going slow allows us to concentrate and give each movement a little more awareness and control. So we're going to go through cat-cow. So we're going to start our cat with our head. So we're just going to first, it's like a trickle down cat. So ears, right, nice and lifted in line with the shoulders. We just start by letting the head come, the chin tuck, and then thoughtfully controlling how we round all the way down the spine. And when you get to your cat, you can hang out. And then we're going to trickle up into your cow. So then your tailbone and your pelvis, low back, mid back, upper back, neck, chin, head. You might hang out in your cow and then trickle down with control. Thoughtful movement, exploring strength and movement as you go into your cat. If it feels okay to you, hang out. Couple of breaths in your cat and then trickle up through your cow. When you get to your cow, hang out, notice what you feel. Open to being in this shape with this breath. And then we'll come back to table. And then we'll make our way all the way back to our backs. So we're going to come back on our backs. I'm going to bring our knees up into our chest. Kind of rock side to side a little bit. And then we'll let that rocking slow down. Slide your hands behind your legs. Outstretch your legs. Just stretch out the back of your hamstrings. You could bend and straighten a few times. And then we'll let your feet come all the way down. Take a full body stretch. And then let your arms float up and down by your side. We'll take the last few minutes to rest here in Shavasana. So finding a really comfortable shape on your back. And as you find this shape on your back, reconnecting to your feelings and definition of being grounded. So you might come back to that imagery of an old growth tree, feeling the ground beneath you. As you exhale, practice releasing. Right? Even if it's just 1%, can you let go of a little bit of tension? Trusting in the earth to hold you up. Practicing releasing, feeling the earth and letting go as you breathe. We have a few minutes left in practice. If you'd like to do a body scan, you could start down in your feet. Just quietly on your own here, scanning your body and breathing with awareness. Noticing and feeling. Take the last couple of minutes here just in silence. Take about 10 breaths in silence so you can listen and hear your breath. Just noticing. You may come back using your body as an anchor, feeling your body connect with your breathing. And just taking a moment, feeling 2 more full exhales. Maybe you exhale through your mouth. With that second exhale, we'll just slowly start drawing our knees into our chest, rolling over and coming on up to sitting. And as you transition back on up to sitting, finding a comfortable seat, we won't be here very long. We'll settle back in and take the last couple moments of practice together as gratitude practice. So thinking and feeling 2 or 3 things that you're extremely grateful for. Bringing those things into your awareness and taking a breath for each one. as we feel gratitude together. If you'd like to join your hands, joining your hands. Thank you all so much for showing up and taking class today. We'll give you a few moments to find the Q&A if you want to participate and ask any questions. I would love to get your feedback. So if you have some time to stick around, that would be lovely.
It looks like we already have our first question from Gail.
Yes.
Says, I have trouble breathing through my nose when lying on my back. Any suggestions?
Have you tried propping your head up? So you could grab, like I have a bolster here. Let's pretend that my block is my bolster. So you could, or even if you had a blanket, sorry, I opened up the chat, now my camera's all messed up. So you could put like a blanket underneath your head and see if like just lifting up, right, like the back of your shoulders, whoop, I'm out of position, helps a little bit, right? So something like this might help. And if that's not high enough, right, you could prop yourself up even to like this height. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Maybe try it, and then you can check in and ask me next week.
Let's see, Sherry, my knees don't like sumo. What modifications would you suggest?
That's a hard answer because it's based on the load out in the knee. So I would suggest, right, maybe again, like not bending very much. So my learning curve is I probably demoed it really deep. You don't have to go that deep. Can you go a little shallower? Right, just super little. And then I would also play with how your leg works in your hip. So your leg is gonna rotate. So if your knees, like if my feet are like this, my body doesn't like sumo either. But if I can take my feet out, my body likes sumo a little more. But it also really has to do with how much load you can put out in that end quad and the top of your knee. Oh, one more suggestion, sorry, is you could maybe get little lifts and see if like lifting your heels helps, right? If you have like washcloths or books you could put underneath your heels, that might change it as well. It might be tight ankles showing up in your knees.
And Gail says, thank you. The suggestion you
awesome. Hi, Carl, thank you. Oh, I'm figuring out how the Q&A works. Good. Oh, I see Lisa's question. Yeah, for sure, Lisa. It's just different on your nerve.
I was going to say, Alicia, ask the question out loud so everybody.
Oh, sorry. So we often think of yoga as exercise. I do prefer a very slow practice. Do you think the body benefits as much from such a slow practice in terms of physical benefits? Yes, I think so. And maybe next week, if I can remember, I'll put it up in my brain. We can work with action and resistance and kind of doing more of like the slow burn in the physical movement, which would mean like if you're straightening your arm out, right, instead of doing this really fast, you play with action. So the action is to bend, but then there's resistance. So like there's a force trying to keep my arm straight. And then as I straighten, there's a force trying to keep my arm bent. So it goes a little closer into the muscle tissue closest to the bone. So I'll try and plug that into my brain and work a little bit with that tomorrow and see how that would feel in your body. Ashley, I'm really studying warrior poses besides practicing more. Any ideas? Maybe grab a chair or a table. Maybe take a little narrower stride. I know when we go really wide with our base, right, the wider the base, sometimes the more ungrounded we are. So you could, like a tripod, think of like a little more like the angle of your legs out from your pelvis. And then also just core stability. So getting more like in line through the core to help, right, stabilize and hold the legs. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm having paired. I used transcribed your.
Let's see. Did you already answer Lisa's?
I'm hearing impaired. I used live transcribe to hear your words. Is there a YouTube connection as when selected it is done with closed captions? I don't know.
Yeah, we're not running this through YouTube Live. So
I don't think there is.
Although it will be posted afterwards on it's on our website, Monona Terrace website, but it's on our YouTube channel. I don't know if that helps with that or not. Sorry, we couldn't be more helpful with that one.
Yeah, and I can try and speak up. I don't know if that would help. I'm always a little self-conscious. Like if I talk too loud, I feel like bossy, and I don't want you to think I'm being bossy.
Did you see Lisa's?
Oh yeah, I recently heard the idea of pulling the belly button in on the inhalation and relaxing the abdomen on the exhalation. It's so counter to my experience. Oh boy, that's a really big question, Lisa. What do you think about this? Different ways of doing breath. Well, the school that I came out of, I'm a really big fan of just good old-fashioned authentic breathing. So when we inhale, like when you feel your inhale, right, your diaphragm goes down. So when I mean authentic breathing, I also think of diaphragmatic breathing. And so when you inhale, you want your diaphragm to release down. And when you exhale, then your diaphragm, or it's going to get stronger as it goes down, it's going to release as you exhale and come up. So with that, right, when the diaphragm goes down, the belly is going to naturally push out because the diaphragm's coming down on your organs and pushing out. Okay, so you're going to feel that expanse in the inhale. I'm not a big fan, like you said, Lisa. This is a really roundabout, sorry, it's a really confusing answer. I would go with diaphragmatic breathing and not pull your belly button back in. Yeah. And if you want, I want to give you a longer answer, but it's too long for this. But if you get my email, I would email it to you. We could chat more. Sorry.
Lisa, I can, if you will receive an email tomorrow where you can comment, ask your question there, and then I will forward that to Alicia.
Yeah, sorry. It's a big answer. I feel like, what do you suggest to decrease shaking and movement that you're not used to? It's all about breathing, or do you have other suggestions? I would suggest doing less. So if you're shaking a lot, say we're like doing dead bug and you start shaking at 3, then just do less and just stop at 3. When your body gets fatigued, right, it's okay to rest. It doesn't mean you're not good at it. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest those muscles. Some shaking might be okay, right? It's like shaking also means like cells and tissues might be waking up. So it's really personal preference. But if you feel the shaking is getting in the way of doing it in a quality way, then I would stop and give yourself a break. Yeah. I tend to slide in down dog positions. Any pointers? New mat. Core work. Think of like down dog, but you're holding down dog from the same place you would hold plank pose. So if you know, like in plank, how strong you have to be to hold a really strong plank, can you find that much strength in your down dog? You could also play with the idea of like isometrics. So, right, your hands are out in front of you and your feet are back. So you could imagine you're pulling your arms back, right? Like into your shoulders. You're pulling your arms back towards your feet and you're pulling your arms, or you're pulling your feet, sorry, towards your arms. And then you're squeezing your legs together and you're squeezing your thumbs and your forearms together. So there could also be that idea like you're kind of drawing everything in and up. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I have really long, I didn't practice concise answers. Sweet.